So I hope this video reaches you well. We've got this outdoor shoulder workout. Again, you might not always have access to the gym, but one thing's for sure, you can utilize different things out there. We're going to use rocks today. We're going to hit the shoulders. What makes up the shoulder? Again, it's never just one muscle. There's multiple muscles you must work. We've got the front delt here. We've got the side delt. Then we whack on the back. We've got the rear delt. We're working 3 muscles here. What ties in with that? Then we've got the trap along here. You've got to make it all tie in together to have that balanced physique, as well as bringing out that full broadness that you want to have there. So let's show here. We've got the 2 rocks. Get a similar weight on the rocks. Make sure you're well warmed up. Then we start off with the hardest movement first. What's the hardest movement for shoulders and what's the best compound movement? That's going to be the overhead press. You balance yourself, you get your breathing right, you get your posture right, and then we bang into these overhead presses. As you can see, you do not want to break form. You want to keep that form correct. Bang out as many as you can. Take a break, take a rest period. That's your shoulders getting real ready for the next lifts. Now we move on to the isolation movements. You want to do those front raises. Slight bend in the elbows. You don't lock out like that. You keep a slight bend like this. And then you just raise in front of yourself like so. Bang out as many as you can with the front raises. If you need to, you twist like this just to keep a good grip on the rocks. There's the front delts isolated. Now we move on to the next part, the side delts. You want to get a new grip on the rocks to make sure that you can keep them in your hands and then start to raise like so. Again, everything I do is to failure. You find the reps that work for you. Keep going, keep pushing, get in that last rep, and then you return back down. Now we go into the rear delt flies, one of the most underutilized exercises. You've got to stand up straight, get your posture right. If you've done deadlifts with perfect form, it's like starting about 2/3 of the way up on the deadlift. You start about here. I don't go right down and I don't stand at a height because you're hitting more of the side delts. And if you bend over too far, it's going to reduce the amount of weight that you can lift. If you want to, you can go at a 90-degree angle. I like to keep it with a slight incline. Again, we go to failure. I'm only showing you a few reps right now. Go into those rear delt flies, squeeze those rear delts. You adjust it. If you notice you're not getting enough of those rear delts, then again, you just find that right smooth movement and then you just squeeze out those rear delt flies. Do these to failure. Make sure you squeeze at the top and then return with a good solid form. Final exercise. This is a point where you're out of breath. Whenever I train like this, I'm gasping for air. What are we working? We're working every single muscle that we can whilst we're isolating those major muscles that we want to build. Working the cardiovascular system. We stand with perfect form again, and then we do those shrugs. This is working the trap muscles. Notice where my hands are. If you can see closely, my hands are actually resting slightly behind my hips, not right by my side. I've noticed whenever I've built my traps, if you want to have those traps that actually pop out more, the further that you can bring your hands back and keep your arms with just a slight bend, not too much, or else you're working the biceps. And then as you do those to failure, you're going to notice it hits right in those back area of those traps. This helps to bring out that height in those traps. We do this to failure, then you throw those rocks down. You've just earned the right to say you've trained like a champion. You've just worked every single bit of your shoulders. You've thrown in that bit as well that hits the traps. This ties in very well. No longer do you do the occasional exercise for shoulders. Too many people out there, they grab a barbell and they do a great compound exercise, those overhead presses, but they forget about their rear delts, they forget about their traps, and ultimately they don't isolate, which brings in all that separation from the front delt, the side delt, and the rear delt. Try this exercise now. You can do it with dumbbells. Doesn't matter what you use. What does matter is that you're warmed up, you're ready to go, you train to your limit, which is according to you, and you make sure you stay solid so you're ready for that next workout.